It's time for the news.
Another UFO sighting has taken place.
The leather's made out of cardboard.
The number you have dialed is in an alternate dimension.
Welcome back to Weird Week. My name's Jack DeMont. I'm your host. Daniel Kim, our co-host here. How you doing, DK?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Not too shabby, man. Not too shabby. Got to watch the Mario movie finally.
What'd you think?
Didn't see it when it was coming out in theaters. It was awesome. There's levels of like, I mean, for most movies, especially when they're using worlds that have already been created that we're like kind of in love with and whatnot. There's always kind of your version of what you want to see out of it and things like that. And I think a lot of people had that with Mario, and I heard a lot of gripes and complaints from people that felt like it just didn't present something suitable enough for older audiences. And I think that's just older audiences not being willing to like watch a kids movie and just like take in a kids movie for it being what it is. But
there aren't any adult themes in the Mario games itself. I mean, it's pretty
right.
family for all ages practically.
Yeah, exactly. I think they really did focus more about like the younger generations and how they'll take in the movie and how they'll want to take in future iterations of their cinematic universe that they clearly want to build right away. I like it. I liked the way that they actually built the Mario world into a movie, like putting together all the games that are out there in the Mario universe to like somehow mesh together and make a universe. Kind of crazy, like that they actually did it in a structured story, and like you could easily palette it and be like, oh, okay, so this part's just like him going through a training part. Oh, this part's the Mario Kart. Like very cool, like the way that they incorporated everything.
Yeah. You got to see the brothers family. Or I don't know what Mario and Luigi's last names are, but you got to see the
brothers
aunts
family.
and uncles. Yeah.
The Marios.
The Marios. And the Luigi's.
The wages. Yeah, they were a very Italian family. I thought it was interesting the way that they like you don't think of like Mario and Luigi being like almost as having like other family. It's just Mario and Luigi.
Like, yeah, I mean, because the game doesn't introduce them. It's a simple premise. Like,
right,
Bowser captures Peach, you rescue Peach. That's just the premise.
All the games, you never experience any of those other people like that. They were all introduced new, but they were cool. They were cute. They built a good like little Italian family. You know, like it's Italian family. Like they're grown adult men still like doing their plumbing job and whatnot, and still coming home and eating their family dinner with their whole big Italian family. Gotta like that. I thought it was very inspirational. I thought it was kind of like silly the way that they were able to justify the voice change and whatnot with the beginning sequence and then like what followed. But it did explain the voice kind of change and whatnot, and why he didn't sound exactly "It's a me, Mario."
I mean, you can only go so far with like "wah, ah." Yeah, just I mean, I know. Chris Pratt did a good job, I thought.
Yeah, and when he did the Mario voice for the bit that he did the Mario voice as the like for the plumbing commercial or whatever, it was great. It was really, really funny. And I loved Bowser. I thought it was really clever the way that they did Bowser and Donkey Kong, like because Donkey Kong is originally a villain and then like he's not a villain, and in order to kind of like make that work in the Mario universe, like how are you going to make it somebody that you know, how are you going to make that dynamic? And basically, it's a love-hate relationship between him and Mario. They got that kind of dynamic, you know.
Yeah,
They're
they had a
buddies.
little homage to it when there was Mario v Donkey Kong, homage to the old Donkey Kong game. Back when it was the NES,
the original. And it's good that they did that. And that was kind of a great introduction for DK.
What did you think about the premise for Bowser? He didn't just like, he kind of liked Peach, therefore he wanted to capture her.
Right. That I really like that a lot. I thought they did a great job of making Bowser a bad guy, but like in a kid's movie, you know, and like how Bowser doesn't like ever kill Princess Peach or Mario or anything like that. It never gets to like that intense of a level. It's never like, and it's never seemed like, I don't know, like even in all the games, it just seems like Bowser like he's just like out to get Mario for some reason, and he's always catching Peach. And so it's like they had to give it a good like, why does Bowser do all this? And it's like him being in love with Peach and then being jealous of Mario is really, really funny. Like,
yeah, I like that. I liked it a lot. I liked it all a lot, to be honest. It was a good rendition on Mario.
Yeah. They did a great job. I think they could have used more Mario. Unfortunately, I felt like there was like so many different characters they were pulling from left and right, trying to get so much out there with each of their characters and whatnot, that like for it being a Mario movie, it felt like Mario was very much just like a side character almost. But it was really good. It was really good. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought they did a great job. I liked how Bowser would get so jealous, and then he would like ask people like, "Do you know if she likes plumbers?" and like stuff like that. Does she like little men who plumb things? Like, there's nothing for you to be jealous about, Bowser. You're big guy. You know, she's gonna love you. I'm not jealous.
I think they did a really good job on the movie. I enjoyed it. I mean, there's nothing to really criticize.
Yeah, they did a good job. People that are trying to find things to criticize, just chill, okay? There's going to be more movies to come. All right, let's kick off some news. Oh, and yeah, guys, by the way, I was able to watch that because it's now streaming on Peacock, not a sponsor.
But they could be.
They could, yeah. Peacock,
unless you hate them too,
be a sponsor. No, they've been doing great. They're also going to get the new Wes Anderson movie on the 11th on Peacock, and so I'm like, Peacock's streaming service is definitely drawing me over to watch some stuff. No, the new Wes Anderson's Asteroid City.
Oh yeah, I forgot he came out with that one. Yeah. The movies have, man,
I want to watch
up on the cinemas.
All right, moving into the news. It's interesting. We have an article here, and it's been brought up from years and years and years ago. I want to. It says 2001, so this has been over 20 years. But people are still talking about this because of the impact that it had for something kind of small for someone to do. In 2001, there was a lot of issues happening with the 110 freeway in Los Angeles, where people were constantly missing their lane change in order to get onto the I-5. And one bold citizen got so annoyed by missing his freeway change so much that he realized what the issue was. There is one of the signs that says Pasadena 110, and it shows all the arrows of where each lane for the 110 is. One of the arrows should also say that it is the lane for the I-5. And one of the guys, or this gentleman, put an I-5 North sign above the arrow that the appropriate lane was. And it was technically seen as like graffiti or something like that, but they haven't done anything to it or removed it, and no one's tried to arrest him or anything like that because it only helped things. It was only a good thing. It literally, it wasn't graffiti in the way that it distracted, or wasn't like it was like an eyesore or anything like that. It was strictly like aiding people in not missing their freaking lane change.
Yeah. And for those people that are listening, it's if you don't, I've taken this freeway because I used to live in Pasadena, so I taken this freeway quite often. So this merging freeway where it merges, it's on the far left side, and it's practically a 90-degree turn from freeway speeds. So it's like if you don't notice it, even if you do notice it coming, you probably have to know like there's a certain way to maneuver it. So it's like the 110 itself, the lanes are very, very tiny, and people usually think it's on the far right side. Therefore, they're on the far right side, and they have to, in order to try to make that change within like half a mile, they have to like cut across basically three lanes to merge into it. And it's also it's a really tight turn too, in a very, very small area. So you can just imagine like people probably get like, at worst, probably get into car accidents because of so it's and I think it's funny you say that this article's from 20 years ago and they have yet to fix it. I mean, they kind of did something to it where I think the second most left lane at certain times you can merge, because it's two lanes that can merge into it, but then that second lane is only you can merge into it only at certain times or something like that. But it just, yeah, even though like it's like, it's so funny that this one simple thing that they could have done years ago, they still haven't been able to fix it. And it's just funny to me that this one guy, and I'm not sure if you heard it, but like even like potholes around Brentwood area, like Arnold Schwarzenegger was out there just filling up these potholes because the city wasn't fixing them. So it always begs the question. It's just like, what the F do you do with all our tax dollars?
Right. Just goes to the wrong people, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's great. I imagine it's not as much of an issue anymore with people using more and more like GPS systems to guide them all the time, and like people just not really looking at signage as much as they used to. But especially in LA traffic, there's a reason why we talk about it. We're not just talking about it because we live in LA and that's something that LA people do. LA people talk about it like for a reason. They don't just do it. They talk about it because it is awful. They talk about it because it is something that all of us can like resonate with each other about, because we all know just how bad LA traffic is. And you could literally
particularly with this freeway, I mean, even if it was any other city, this would have been a huge mistake. And you kind of pointed it also, like with GPS, yeah, people they kind of see it coming, because the GPS will tell you which lane to be on. But imagine this like 10 years ago when people didn't have that option, how many like car crashes they could have prevented if they just effing put up a sign that says, hey, this thing is coming up. And it's just like the fact that there's all this bureaucratic process just to put a one sign. It just goes to show you like, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and yeah, it's like, what are the processes to figure out what to approve? What's to say like, oh, that's gonna, doing something like that would like not work or something like that, like I'm sure there was people there would be people arguing like why they shouldn't be putting their tax dollars into it because they don't think that it would actually be effective or something like that. And it's like, no, this guy, he planned for 3 months. He said, I'm a sign guy, I can do this. And he planned for 3 months, and he's like, this is gonna help everyone, just watch. And
he did it for free too.
He did it for free. And apparently he's still going around doing like anonymous graffiti work that's yeah, I mean, he says he continues to work on secret pieces that could land him in the slammer. But
But even though that's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he should get a pass because like what he's technically doing, it's different. To label, yeah, it is vandalism to a degree, but it's just like the intent is not what a typical vandal like person that's like
Right.
destroying property does. He's for like something that
Right.
feels like can help people.
This is the kind of a thing that makes it so you have to redefine vandalism. So you have to like put more parameters around what defines vandal versus somebody that's like literally just going out of their way to help society figure it out. I like that.
And all it took a simple sign. And
It
City refuses to do it for some odd reason.
Right. And yeah, good for him. I'm glad he did it and probably was very proud of it afterwards and never missed his lane change again.
Good for him.
I like that. Moving on to more hooligans, more tomfoolery going on out in New York City. A streamer named Kai Cenat, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Kai Cenat is a really, really big streamer. Gotten really big in the past few months, to like a year and whatnot. Just a streamer, as far as I can tell. He doesn't really play games. If he plays games, it's like not too seriously. The streaming that he tends to do is like he has other streamers come over and they do stream like just stupid shit together in his room and whatnot. He's got like a really big room that he streams in, and they just do stupid shit in their room all the time. But yeah, he's gained a lot of followers in recent time, and he decided to hold like a giveaway in the middle of New York. And he said where the giveaway was going to take place, he was going to meet some of his fans down there to start giving away some gift cards, a PC, PlayStation, stuff like that. And the following crowd that ensued was essentially a riot. I don't know if it's necessarily just like the fan base that follows Kai Cenat, because he does have a huge fan base, but I do know that like his fan base would be probably a younger crowd, would probably be a crowd that are more willing to kind of get into the kind of crazy antics that he gets into. And so when you get that many of them together on the streets of New York, you can only imagine that it's going to get wild. He said something like, be safe, guys. I'm seeing it's getting kind of crazy down there. And then he before he heads down to meet the people and whatnot. But that's not before the police have decided that shit was just getting way too wild. And so, he did stream some games. He would stream GTA and NBA, but it looks like nowadays he doesn't really do that as much. But yeah, the police not happy about it. Definitely felt like it was a threat. An actual riot had ensued, and so they're pressing charges on Kai Cenat for multiple things. At least 2 of them are officially going to be charged, and that's in counts of inciting a riot and unlawful assembly, while they're still trying to maybe come up with a couple of other offenses because they just felt very this is the kind of a thing that the police, like the last thing that police want is something that can so easily like incite riots, especially when like it has good natured stuff behind it. Like that it could be something that's misconstrued so easily as like, I'm just doing a giveaway, like turn into something so hectic and violent that like you just have to kind of prevent those things, even if it's like you have the best intention by doing a giveaway or something like that. Like the police are definitely not okay with what they like, the amount of resources that they had to use. This is NYPD. This is one of the best police departments in the nation, and they're having to use excess amount of their units on like a random ass riot that came out of nowhere, stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I wish it had turned out different, but this just goes to show you that event planning is a thing. You do have to plan it properly. There's the reason why there's so much like protocols that are in place, like people who do organize like these festivals and stuff like that. They do take a lot of different measures into hand that normal people like wouldn't think of. You know, it's just like security, crowd control, you know, when things like maybe some medical attention in case like someone gets injured or hurt, or it's like it is summertime, so in case like, you know, some people do get, you know, dehydrated and they do feel faint, you know, there's some medical attention for that. So there's like a lot of things that, you know, these things do take planning. It is unfortunate for him that it went to that route. I'm pretty sure he didn't think it was going to escalate this far. I mean, there was some like there's some videos I think of people dancing on top of cars and stuff, so it's like it was getting pretty gnarly. And I think, yeah, like if I was a police officer, last thing I would want is just to clean, like just head in there and try to break up this crowd, or like try to control this crowd or something, or try to move them to a corner where there's like less, where they can be in control. I don't know. I honestly don't know but I mean, it's, yeah, unfortunate, unfortunate. But I mean, also at the end of the day, like, man, it's just, he probably didn't realize that, like, I mean, I don't know, to a degree, I think some of these streamers know their popularity, but they kind of don't know. It's just like, I
Right.
think a lot of times they're just kind of more in their heads, like, oh, what's the worst that can happen? And well, he found out the hard way, and eventually,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Well, and you know, I think they underestimate their fan bases and what their fan bases are like receiving from their entertainment and whatnot. Like I was saying, Kai is very kind of like wild character, and he's very like impulsive and just like does just kind of like a lot of really crazy shit. So that's where I'm like, I'm not surprised to hear that his fans immediately started becoming like rioters essentially just the second they got together. Like he's the kind of guy that would jump on a car, so like for them to all be jumping on cars only makes sense, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not to say that he's a bad guy or anything. He's just a little you know, um it is unfortunate. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
You
I
know.
mean, to be honest, I don't follow Twitch, so I don't know who this guy is, but he is someone that's famous. And some people who follow Twitch streamers are people that are younger. And when you're younger, I mean, when things get, I mean, we were young once, and you know, when it's like when you have all those emotions and excitement flowing through your
Right.
body, you just kind of like, you just tend to start losing control. A lot of the things like social protocols and parameters that keep you like, oh well, law-abiding citizen, those kind of get slowly blurred. So I mean,
Right.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, is there a Twitch streamer that you would go crazy for? Don't ask me because I wouldn't know. Pokimane, probably. Pokimane.
No, there's nobody I would essentially go to these lengths of like going and rioting for or anything like that. It's like you had said, you know, they're young, and I was saying that before too. You know, his crowd is definitely a young crowd. It's not just like the streaming crowd. It's specifically his crowd would be a very specific kind of like young, rowdy, not rowdy in a bad way, but just like rowdy because they're, you know, their
They're
hormones,
young,
things
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, they're full of energy.
Right. Like
Me
that's
walking 2 blocks to follow my favorite Twitch streamer, I would be exhausted. I'd be like, "Ah, I'm
yeah,
going home."
right. But like he's, you know, like just a lot of them, just the opportunity to get to meet the guy is going to be like one reason just to go out there and say something. Another, like
Yeah.
that he's offering these rewards and things like that. Of course they're just going a little crazy, you know. Like I said, he seems like an impulsive kind of character and whatnot. It only makes sense that his fans would kind of be like impulsive too, especially if they're trying to attend an event that is his, you know, like they're going to try to embody his energy more and that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Let's really quick, this isn't a part of our news rundown, but I wanted to touch on it really quick because I saw it and I had noticed it earlier in the week. Wanted to talk about it really quick. Mr. Beast suing Mr. Beast Burger, or like the people that helped him create Mr. Beast's Burger. He's suing them. He said that the quality was poor and fell on deaf ears when he would complain about it to the company, and that it like tarnished his reputation, yada yada yada. And then now Mr. Beast Burger is countersuing Mr. Beast, saying that they believe him and his celebrity make him believe that he can get away with more, and basically they're saying that he's trying to just get out of his contractual obligations by blaming them for this, that, and the other, when in reality it was a business partnership that they both went into. They signed contracts, and things just didn't go exactly the way that he wanted, and instead of taking a monetary hit, he would rather get out, and so they're countersuing. Who's to say which one is right in this? I'd say they both are probably a little right. Like, I imagine Mr. Beast Burger wasn't a great thing. He probably was complaining about the quality of it, and they probably weren't doing anything about it. But
have you ever tried
have
a
a good
Mr.
point.
Beast Burger?
Well, I don't think we could. I think the Mr. Beast Burger was only in like Chicago and like Midwest or like East
Okay.
Coast.
So
or
we
something.
wouldn't even gotten a chance to try it unless we
I don't
headed
think
to Chicago or wherever.
Yeah. There might have been like a small little like pop-up that popped up in LA or something for a little while or something, but I don't think we had like the store or anything.
Yeah. Well, I can't judge because I never tried the burger, but I'm not sure. Like Mr. Beast, I know he's a huge, I mean, they're probably right in saying that he's a huge celebrity, and there are probably some disagreements. I mean, even with somebody like Mr. Beast, he probably has a team behind him that doesn't, that the company communicates with, and getting something to Mr. Beast to approve, like, I'm not sure if like for him to approve might take a while. And, I know that's a process, but I wonder if Mr. Beast said, do you want to get sued or double it, pass it to the next company?
Stupid.
Dad jokes.
That was a good one, but it was also a bad one. Yeah, so they kind of have a point because they bring up, for example, that he basically denies anybody that says that some of his other products are kind of crappy and stuff. And so it's like, okay, so he'll vouch for other kind of shit products, but just because this one is like, he has a problem with this, that, or the other, trying to get out of his contract. And so,
I don't chocolate bars too, right?
Right. And that's actually what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is that like some people have talked about how bad the chocolate bars are and stuff like that.
Okay. I haven't tried those neither, so I can't really judge.
But this is like also, they're pointing out like a few reviews and whatnot, and it's like every company's gonna have some good and some bad. I don't know, everybody's got haters. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes though, because he's a really big name, and yeah, I mean, it sounds like a bunch of drama between the two parties, and that's always fun to get into.
Yeah.
Speaking of drama, speaking of riots in the streets, Lin-Manuel Miranda is going to reportedly adapt The Warriors into a stage musical. Yeah, buddy.
Warriors. Come out and I don't know how to turn that into a musical type song. Come
out and play.
Warriors,
can you dig it? It's gonna be great. Like, I think he'll do a great job. Lin-Manuel Miranda is the gentleman who created Hamlet or Hamilton, Hamilton, the musical. And it got rave reviews for many years after its release, and 11 Tonys, things like that, including best musical. So really
movie,
good.
Really underrated PS2 game, The Warriors. It was a really good PS2 game.
It's not that underrated in the sense, like, people know it was good. Like, like
people that know, but I think there's like a group. It wasn't as wide Like,
Right.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. Not necessarily underrated, more so just like not, it just didn't gain.
the popularity that it should have, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But still a great game, and a lot of people say that, and it's good hearing it coming from you because I've always wanted to play it. I've always seen it and been like, damn, still can't believe they came out with a Warriors game, and I've never played it. But I've heard that they're either coming out with a Warriors game, another Warriors game, or they're gonna like remaster the old one or something. I could be wrong. But
I'm pretty sure
yeah,
they're
that'd be great.
remastering everything now, so I'm pretty sure they'll come out with a remaster or a remake of that version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, have we talked about the Warriors before? I don't know if
Personally,
we have. No, in the pod. I don't know if we've touched on it.
I don't believe so. I know we talked about a lot of things, but I
The
don't
Warriors is
recall the
good.
Warriors thing. But
You like the
can you
Warriors?
dig it? I did
Can
like them.
you take it?
I like the Warriors. I like the chick gang that lured them and they try to kill them or something.
I liked. So for those who don't know what the Warriors is, it's a 1980s film about like kind of like an alternate reality New York City where there's a lot of like underground gangs that have all these cool themes and stuff like that, and they all kind of like hate each other and whatnot.
Mhm.
And there's like this one guy that calls all the gangs together in this like arena, which is like in hindsight, like nobody would ever approve this event, the size of this event. Like this is insanity. He's got basically a stadium full
Mhm.
of gangs, and he's like, we all need to stop fighting, and we need to like make one giant gang and take
Yeah.
over the world.
Yeah.
And in that speech, he's taken out. This is very early in the movie, not too many spoilers, but he's taken
Mhm.
out in the middle of his speech, and people start to blame the Warriors. Someone
Yeah.
blames the Warriors, and everybody thinks it's them. And the Warriors is a gang of like dudes dressed like Native Americans. They all have
Yeah.
their own like style thing that they dress like. My
Yeah.
favorite was the baseball players and the roller
Yeah.
skaters.
Yeah.
The baseball players were dope. They had full baseball uniforms,
And face paint.
and
Oh, the
face
whole
paint.
nine. Yeah.
And the face paint was the cool part. And they ran around with baseball bats. You know, baseball bats gonna fuck some shit up. So it's
Mhm.
like just a gang of baseball bat swingers. Ugh, that's
Mhm.
pretty crazy. The roller skaters were cool. They were, I think, in it for a very short amount of time, but there was a little roller skate gang, I think, in like the subways or something. I could be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could be wrong. I feel like there was a roller skate gang. But there was just like a lot of really cool creative gangs that they created, that they made for
Yeah.
that movie. And
And it's
I
them
almost
going
like,
back to try to get back to their home turf, which is Coney Island.
yeah.
And they have to
And
go and they have to go through these legions of gangs because there was like a hit out for them because they were suspected, like you said, suspected of killing Cyrus, who was like
yeah,
their messiah, if you will.
right. And they've got to get back home through the streets of New York where gangs are sitting in their territory waiting for the Warriors to come through.
Mhm.
And it's really good, and it's one of the only things that I'm like really disappointed has never come out with like a reboot or or something like that. I think like a modern day retelling of something like that could be so cool if they don't
Mhm.
fuck it up.
Oh, that's a tall order because they've been fucking up a lot of things right now.
Right, and I get that it's definitely a big thing to ask, but at the end of the day, like it is such a cool premise if they could figure out how to not fuck it up. Like, I mean, maybe just the fact that we're doing it in stage musical form would suffice for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's definitely needed a reprisal. It's definitely needed like the movie needed more attention. The game needs more attention, and like maybe the movie had a lot of attention in its prime in the 80s or something like that. But like it
Mhm.
needs to have like a continued following that some of these other 80s classic movies have. Like
Mhm.
the kids these days need to eventually see the Warriors. Like
Darn kids, see the Warriors. But
oh
I mean, I don't. Here's the thing that I think might not translate because the Warriors, as far as pacing is concerned, like compared to like movies nowadays with multiple shots, CGI, I'm not sure how it'll translate because the thing about Warriors, those are kind of like the slow burn about like you kind of don't know what's gonna happen and just keeps you leave you in suspense when they're just kind of like slowly walking into a dark alley or a subway. And yeah,
I think they could still pull it off,
I
especially
think they could
with
too, but it's just like
someone like Manuel like helping.
yeah. So far, like as far as like track record's concerned, I'm not too. I'm not holding my breath as far as if they can do it well.
Well, how many things have you watched go from a movie form turned into musical form?
Oh, I'm not talking about the movie to musical. I'm talking if they were to remake the movie.
Oh, well, I thought
Yeah.
we were no longer on that. I thought we were talking about the musical.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty
confused
sure. I'm
at where
sure.
we're
I
at
love
here.
musicals, so I'm always going to be down to watch the music. I watched like the Annie musical. I watched every. I'll
So the
watch any
pacing
musical.
thing you were saying was that about the musical or a reboot of the movie?
Well, it was about the movie because the musical has the musical
Okay.
come out yet?
No, I
Yeah,
thought you
yeah.
were saying you didn't understand how the musical would be able to get the pacing of the film.
Oh no, like you said, going back to your statement about like it being remade if it were to be remade into
Uh-huh.
a
Okay.
new movie,
Now,
that's
okay.
the part I'm saying. It's like what with
Gotcha.
like CGI and like multiple cuts and things being at such a rapid pace. Like I'm
Gotcha.
not sure like kids
That's how
today
you feel
will
like it
kind
wouldn't
of
be able to be a slow
yeah,
burn. Well, if you
yeah.
watched Oppenheimer, there's definitely a slow burn in that.
Mm-hmm.
You do know what the ending of is gonna be. Kaboom. But it's
Kablooey.
yeah, there's always that lingering thing. You're like, you know what the movie's about. But
Yeah.
it's possible to make movies nowadays with a nice slow burn, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Christopher Nolan needs to redo The Warriors.
It would add so many different layers. What if the Warriors were not really gang members, but I don't know.
But it was all a dream. All right. Moving right along. Should we move along?
Let's move along.
Moving right along. Speaking of the games, the video games, the hits, PS5 got exploded. There was a gaming fighting competition, a fighting tournament, fighting game tournament. I think it's called Evo, which is one of the biggest fighting game tournament in the world, pretty much. Things were getting so intense in there, and the games were running so hot that the PlayStation 5 melted somebody's USB port. And it just completely came out of its socket. I don't know if that's kind of like a testament to how graphically insane Street Fighter must be, or if it's a testament to like PS5's unpreparedness for such heat. I don't know.
I think it's probably both. Like it's like the PS5 I know definitely has one of the more powerful graphics cards in it. Yeah, but I mean probably they had to it's something that they have to deal with like as far as the cooling system is concerned, because if you ever built the PC, you have to construct it in a way where there's proper airflow, where the heat is like hitting the fan so that it blows out through the vents. So I don't know, it's just a testament to like
you would think that
how
in the
crazy
whole
graphics are getting nowadays, that like machines, the newest machine is still like overheating. Like it's just I don't know, it's just things are getting more like even with ray tracing, where you can see like the water ripples and it just gets crazier and crazier.
Yeah, no one was ready for Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah.
No one was ready. Yeah, I mean, and you would think, like you were saying, these PCs and consoles and things all have to be designed in a way to kind of like get to make the heat flow pushed out as like easily as possible. And this is, it's like you said, it's just clearly like just too intense, because you would definitely think that PlayStation and Xbox building the consoles would be the like that they would take into account anything that they can to try to get it to cool down faster. You know, that like they're not gonna design the console in a way that it gets hot easily. Like like they're gonna try to cool it down as best they can in their designs, and it's like the design did not help. Like it melted the USB port.
Yeah. I mean, it also, I think, depending on where you put it as well. I think if you put it more in open space, the hotter does dispense out. If you put it in more confined area, it holds the heat, so it's like it's recycling the heat back into the system. So that could be I don't know. We don't know but it's just,
well, you have
thank
to
God.
imagine.
Yeah, because I mean, I know PlayStation 5 is one of the more when you say Xbox versus PS5. I know PS5 has sold more historically, but I mean, Xbox 360 at one point had that ring of death, they used to call it, where their systems or their consoles were malfunctioning, and there was this huge PR problem for Xbox 360. I mean, I don't think this might affect the PS5 sales as much, but it's definitely a little dent in the resume.
Yeah. Well, and to, just to add on to what you were saying about how hot it can get in like confined spaces, we don't have any evidence that this PlayStation 5 was in a very, very tight, small place, but we do have evidence that it was in a very crowded place. Evo tournament had to have been hot as hell inside the building, with how many people were there, with how many people were getting their emotions hot and things like that, on top of the heat.
Yeah, especially with all those Hadoukens, that shit's all pure fire, dude.
Yeah. So on top of the new graphic intensities, they were basically putting the PlayStation 5 in a really, really hot environment, I would assume, on top of it. Yeah. So, just take care of your PlayStations out there, guys, and don't, if you're going to go to the Evo tournament, use someone else's. Don't take yours, use someone else's. Last but not least, while we're still gaming, while we're still talking about the fun in games, toy maker Mattel says it will pay someone nearly $18,000 to play and promote its new Uno game. Mattel is hiring a chief Uno player who's set to be paid $277 an hour at 4 hours a day, 4 days a week across a 4-week period. It would be about $17,776.
A chief Uno. I just got this. A chief Uno player.
A cup.
That's
funny. Main task is to promote their new game Uno Quattro, a variant on the original card game that involves trying to match 4 in a row using plastic tiles and grids. So it looks like Mattel is searching for someone who will star in live streams and play the game with other influencers and things like that in order to try to promote the game. What I'm understanding about this is that it's not going to just go to any average Joe Blow that really likes Uno or wants to play Uno or thinks that they can do this. Like, it's got to go to somebody that is already got a following and things like that, because they have to be able to have the connections to get to other streamers and things and other influencers that they want that person to do. Now, I'm sure they're open to anybody applying, but it's only really going to help your case if you have a strong following. And you have to apply through TikTok. So there's definitely a level of if you don't even understand social media or haven't made a TikTok or something like that before, then you're probably also already on the outs of getting that job. It's going to be interesting because I think it's gaining enough popularity in the weirdness of what this job is that we as a collective internet group are going to know who this person is. We're going to be who's the Uno streamer? They finally pick an Uno streamer? Who is it? You know what I mean? It's going to be interesting kind of seeing who they pick, because I think a lot of us are going to be curious about it now that it's out there. but it's also it's New York based. So I think there's several things going into it. I don't know that you have to be that you have to live in New York City.
Well, they
Oh
said you
no,
have to be
it says
comfortable with like traveling and stuff like that. So you are going to be doing tours and stuff like that, like how
yeah,
actors kind of tour different places of the world to kind of promote their movie. I think that's what one of the requirements are, that you are comfortable touring.
right. It does
I'm not
say the
sure what they plan
role.
to do. Yeah, like if they're planning to have these tournaments or some type of promotion for these things, but yeah, apparently that is one of the requirements for this job.
Gotcha. It does say the role is based in New York, and whoever gets it must be able to work in person. The role is expected to last from September 13th to October 7th. So if you're really, really trying hard, you can get in the TikToks. You can
Do it
submit an
now.
application and move out to New York. I mean, if they're gonna they're gonna pay that kind of money
Might as well. That
for
would probably get you like a small
weeks,
studio in New York for about 2 months.
just 2 months.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, but I find it also interesting that Uno keeps coming out with these variant versions of Uno, because like I've never even played Dose, I don't think. And
Dose. Is that when you say dose when people have 2 cards?
I don't know what the game is. I've never played it, but there's
Uh-huh.
Dose. I know that they've come out with a sequel, and now they're
Yeah.
coming out with Quattro, and it's like it's just interesting. I don't know how many people have played Dose. Like, you've never even heard of Dose, but like they're
Me
still
neither.
trying to make these variants and stuff like that. That's like, I don't know, it seems kind of unnecessary. And
Uno is a
if I
good.
play Uno, I'm probably just gonna play Uno.
Yeah, Uno is a classic. I don't know why they're trying to redo Uno.
Maybe they'll sell it to us with this guy, whoever ends up being the new chief Uno player. Maybe
Mhm. Well, aren't they
maybe
trying
they'll
to make
sell
Uno
us
the
on that new
movie? Because I
Quattro.
heard like since the success of Barbie, they're trying to really press all these IP projects on people.
Yeah,
They're apparently
well,
trying to make I
Hot
forgot.
Wheels.
Yeah, Hot Wheels. Well, Hot Wheels, I kind of get the premise of it. I could see where they can make a movie out of it, but I think they are trying to make a Uno game, Uno movie. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. They've definitely said since the movie success that Mattel, the entire corporation, they want to make a multiverse, a cinematic multiverse
Cinematic
of
Mattelverse.
yeah, a Mattelverse. And they want to get like a lot of their biggest toys their own like feature film. Now, I don't know that that Uno specifically is one. I know that Hot Wheels is specifically one, and I know that they said things like Uno could potentially have one, but yeah, I mean, it comes down to them like being able to actually create a movie around like something like that. Maybe they do like a bunch of their card games in one or something, but I don't know how you make like a card game like Uno into a movie. Like Barbie, Hot Wheels, things like that. Like you said, you can understand where they would take Hot Wheels and stuff. I can see where they would take Hot Wheels. It'd be like a kid's version of Fast and the Furious. I don't
Mhm,
know. Well, I guess Fast and the Furious is kind of a kid's version of Fast and the Furious, but
mhm.
maybe maybe they find a way to make Uno into a movie.
I mean, they made Gran Turismo the movie.
Oh, I mean, okay, so here, down at the very bottom, Mattel has been on a hot streak lately. They plan to create movies based on all of its biggest brands, including a movie based on Uno. So they did say that, which is just nuts. I don't know how you could do that.
Yeah.
And they want to do Barney, Thomas the Tank, Thomas the
Oh,
Tank,
Barney
Thomas
the
the Train.
music. Barney the movie would be awesome.
I've heard the Barney movie's actually already in the works, and it's going to be one that's
Rated R?
Well, it's not made for kids these days. It's made for people that watch Barney.
Exactly. It's gonna be rated R.
For us.
Gore. Barney's
No, it's not gonna be
fuck shit
R
up.
or gar.
Barney's
No.
gonna just fuck shit up.
No. I have
I've
a
been singing to
feeling
you kids for all these years. And he's just gonna lose it.
right. I have a feeling it's gonna be like Barney's Forgotten or something like that, and then the kids have to
like a really depressing movie.
Yeah, well, and then the kids re-find Barney or something, and he brings like a youthfulness back into like the adult version of them or something. Like I could see that being the premise. I don't really know what else they would do in terms
So it's gonna
of like
open up with like Barney just
Barney for
hammered in a
adults.
bar and these kids.
Hey kids, I love you. You love me, right? No, Barney. We don't. Not anymore.
Barney, we need to talk. We think you have a problem.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh man.
Other movies they think they might do include Polly Pocket. I know Polly Pocket has had a really strong TV presence for a long time. Maybe not really strong, but strong enough. People that like Polly Pocket have watched her stuff. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, interesting that they've thrown Uno out there as one of the movies that they'd like to create. Like when making this announcement, guys, you could have just thrown like ones that made sense. You have a lot of titles, and you could have kept Uno under wraps until you really figured it out, and then been like, Uno movie coming. But like, I think it may have been a little too early to say Uno movie because you guys got a long way to get with that one, if you ask me.
I am interested if they are planning to how they're gonna pull this one off.
I can only imagine the Uno movie being like way out in terms of timelines, because they're definitely gonna make like the Barney movie and shit like that first. So the Uno movie is maybe just a pipe dream. We'll see. Maybe they'll include Dos and Quattro, and it'll be a whole family.
Like the card game Avengers or something.
Yeah, how do you turn Uno into a movie? I'm so confused. Like what? Uno. Like what? How are you turning this into a movie? I'm so confused. All right.
Only one card will save them all. It's the Unos.
No, the one card that would save them all is always a wild card +4.
Or a draw 4 card.
Well, the draw four is always a wild. So that's the card I'm referring to. That's always that's the nail in the coffin. You know, when somebody's like, "Oh, I'm gonna win it all," and you've got this fat stack of cards in your hand, and they go, "Uno," and you go, "Take 4, bitch," and then you say like the color that you know they didn't have, red. Eat it. Yeah, I don't know, guys. It doesn't make sense to me how they're gonna do an Uno movie, but I'm sure with enough money and resources they'll try. It was good, guys. Thanks for joining us this weird week. We had a lot of game talk today. I like video games. DK likes video games, so we get into that sometime. Join us next week. Follow us on all our social medias. Like, subscribe, and tell all your family and friends to send us their money, because we need money. DK.
Or we could be professional. What was it? A chief Uno player? A chief Uno promoter? What was it?
There's only one chief Uno promoter, Uno player
like
position available. We can't both be the chief Uno player.
You can say he is Uno. Uno. I don't know.
We don't even live in New York. All right, guys. We'll catch you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.